ancient artifacts in the heat of the battle. But this breaks my heart to see this like this. The monk has given us a blessing, but we also got a little scolding to go with the blessing. Like, where have you been as a little raid? We got our butts chewed a little bit.
The monk is angry that for 30 years no one has bothered to come and apologize for the temple's destruction. The U.S. bombing is still an everyday presence in this part of Laos. So much American hardware fell here that recycling it is now a cottage industry. Villagers turn old swords into plowshares, putting U.S. weaponry to peaceful use.
In the fog of war, you don't consider the long-term effect that all this ordnance is going to have. Like us looking back 30-some years later, it looks like they were dropped last week. They're still all cleaned out and everything. So no, we don't think about those consequences in the heat of battle. And it was a day-to-day fight, so it was either us or them.
Traveling deeper into Laos, the Ravens come across a government team removing unexploded ordnance, or UXO. There are more than 500,000 tons of explosives lying around, killing about 120 Laotians every year.
There was more bombs dropped in Laos than was dropped over Nazi Germany during World War II.
You know, all over this country, there's bombs everywhere yet. There's no doubt in my mind. And there's many that's unexploded. I mean, I can remember putting in what they call delayed fusing bombs, and they were programmed not to go off for maybe 3 days, 72 hours. So there's thousands and thousands of bombs all over this country that's unexploded. There's going to be injuries for a long, long time.
As a child during the war, Susoth was on the receiving end of the Americans' bombs.
The bombing is like 1,000 times that the explosion that we heard today. Shaking like earthquake, 4 or 5 Richters. And through the years, it seems like normal. We used to it. Used to hear the plane coming, and then if we have somebody die. And over there...
The Ravens are not the only ones on this trip with unfinished business.
This memorial is made by the Lao government just to tell the young generation to remember about the Indo-China wars. Our solidarity to fight together between Laos and Vietnam will stay forever.
This is my 5th museum from the other side. I know I'm supposed to see a different point of view and see it from the enemy's point of view, but still they were the enemy, and I still have those feelings. And I see them with a hand grenade ready to throw, and I know a lot of my friends were killed at the other end of the throwing of that hand grenade.
The picture over there...
It occurs to the Ravens that the trip has taken on a political point of view.
This price we have to pay, and okay, we did it. We can press on now.
The road north towards Sam Nua takes the Ravens on the edge of an area known as the Plain of Jars. The jars, thousands of mysterious prehistoric vessels, stand like mute witnesses to the slaughter that occurred here. Some 40,000 people gave their lives on the Plain of Jars, the most contested land in the Laotian War. It was here on the Plain of Jars that Raven Fred Platt flew his final mission, a mission that nearly ended his life.
I ended up crashing upside down, going backwards, and fractured my spine in 7 places. First, they told me that I was going to die. And when I didn't die, they told me I was going to be totally paralyzed from the neck down. The worst thing was that they kept telling me the war was over. And I kept feeling like if I could learn to walk again, then I could come back here and rejoin it and be in the victory parade.
Fred has endured years of physical therapy and a world of pain to walk these few steps. This is Fred Platt's victory parade, crossing the plain of jars under his own power.
I never expected to be back here again. I left my youth and my health out here on a PDJ. To come back here, that's a significant thing for me. Feels like I'm closing a circle.
Fred was lucky. 1 out of every 8 Ravens did not return from Laos.
2 military officers went to my parents' home and delivered the news. My mother was at home, and she said she saw them at the door, and she didn't answer the door because she knew why they were there. The official letter says that there was an aircraft accident in, I believe, in a foreign country. We didn't receive any additional information. So I must tell you that I always thought there was another story.
Like many Laotians, some here in the U.S. are still struggling in the aftermath of America's secret war in Laos.
I think it is difficult for people to find out what happened to their relatives because there were no records kept, and if you're lucky, you can find somebody who was there at the time, and you just have to rely on their memory, and that's really all there is.
Cassandra Towsley's brother George died in 1972. Since then, she has been looking for someone who can give her more information and help her find emotional closure. Recently, her search led her to the Ravens.
I'd never heard of this, that there was even a group called the Ravens.
One Raven who knew Cassandra's brother is John Wisniewski.
Cassandra.
John, please come in.
John was unable to go on the return expedition to Laos. He pulled the harder assignment, talking to Cassandra about the day her brother died.
The information that we received from the Air Force was that he crashed, and there really hasn't been any information besides that.
People just don't know what to say.